Hey YouTube, it's Crazy Dave here from DH Armory once again. Today my brother John is joining us. Today we're going to talk about Bullpup Firearms. What is a bullpup? What kind of examples are there? When did they start, etc. So by definition, a bullpup firearm is one, unlike a regular rifle, where the action is in front of the trigger. That's a regular rifle. A bullpup puts the action behind the trigger mechanism. That's what makes it a bullpup. So why would you do that? Well, the British in 1901 first experimented with a bullpup bolt-action rifle, bolt-action carbine, 20-inch barrel, .303 British caliber. Didn't go anywhere because they weren't ready for it. But that was 1901.
It's a long time ago. We
didn't see any bullpups after that really remotely successful until 1972. In 1972, Gwin Firearms came out with this guy, which was designed to be an Air Force survival weapon. Now, this is a civilian version. The Air Force version did have a sliding stock that would come out the back. Now, it takes standard M16 magazines, and it goes in, and a lot of the fire control components are standard military M16 parts. So the hammer's exactly the same. The trigger piece in here is not, because it's a bar like the regular trigger with a slot with a hook that goes up, and then there's a long actuator rod that goes all the way up here to this. And if I could get this to slide forward today. In here is the barrel cover. And so this rod is inside here. Now, you know that this rotates. And when we were setting up, John was asking me, why does it rotate? Well, the idea is this is an ambidextrous weapon. It ejects from the top. And if I'm shooting right-handed, I rotate it so it's on my forearm, and it shoots that way away from my face. If I want to shoot left-handed, I rotate it this way and shoot like this.
I've not seen ambidextrous done that way before.
And not since either.
Yeah. Is it reliable as a result? Like, imagine that would be complexity for the sake of ambidextrousness that maybe is not great.
It actually works pretty well.
Okay.
Okay. Wear and tear on these things, of course, they were made in 1972. So we'll go back. So the story is, these were delivered to the Air Force. The supply colonel or whoever it was that had ordered them had been promoted, got a new position, and his replacement saw them and said, no, I don't want those. And so Gwin Firearms was stuck with them. Now, if you pay attention and you've been around the gun industry for a while, or you look at older ads, especially from the 90s, okay, which is way past the 70s, this silhouette was the logo of Bushmaster Firearms. And then later, when they added an AR-15 with it, it was this plus an AR-15, then they dropped this when these ceased to exist. But this is the original Bushmaster, was the name of it, arm pistol.
Got it.
Okay, now this is a pistol. It's very compact. Yep. It is very powerful. It is, rudimentary sights, low sight radius, a little awkward to shoot, but it's supposed to be a survival weapon, full power. I mean, it's a powerful weapon. So that was the first real modern attempt, I would say. But the first successful bullpup that was introduced into military service is this, or the actual military equivalent. This is an MSAR Steyr-AUG clone. The earlier ones use a proprietary magazine, proprietary to the AUG. The modern ones, they can actually accept M16 magazines. It's a bullpup firearm. Still fires 5.56, same as that. Has a little hand grip. The early versions had an integral sight. The later ones went rail, so you've got more modularity. This one has a adapter rail on the side. Something neat about the AUG weapon
Oh my.
is its ease of barrel swaps. So the idea was with this design that this is a weapons platform, and you could have multiple barrels for different combat roles and swap it that easy.
Wow.
Did that happen? Not as much as we would want.
Okay.
There are heavier barrel versions, there are longer barrel versions. But this is a 16-inch barrel rifle.
We should talk about that some.
We are.
Yeah.
This is a 16-inch barrel rifle.
Yeah, exactly.
Um,
So that's why Bullpup in the first place.
That's why
right?
Bullpup. The idea for Bullpup is it's more ergonomic. Because if I'm holding it in my combat hand, it's balanced.
Right.
I mean, the weight's right here. I could do something with my other hand.
Right.
And then it's still a full power weapon. You shoulder it. I mean, it's nice. So, shoulder it and sight it something.
I'll shoot the camera. So, like, how does it being a Bullpup affect, say, recoil?
Not much at all.
No improvement, no.
Recoil is based on mass, and the mechanism of the action is felt recoil.
Fair enough.
So it's not going to change your recoil any, or recoil impulse. What it will change is this one, and let's pull this out. So this one, this is your ejection port. This is your ambidextrous ejection port. To swap this one over, you swap internals, but then you move this plate over here.
Right.
This plate's actually pretty tightly sealed, so it's not bad. We'll talk about that in a minute. But it does put the action right next to your face.
Yeah.
So benefit, compact. Drawback,
Great for like clearing rooms.
clearing rooms. I
Small,
mean,
like-
if I'm here and I'm coming around a corner in a house,
Yeah. I mean, it's just like the way your left arm is bent, as opposed to if you're holding
as
a.
opposed to I'm out here.
Yeah.
Okay, so here, if I come around and there's a bad guy right there and he wants to grab this from me, it is very easy, without sweeping you with the barrel, it is very easy for me to bring it around to bear in combat, where a longer weapon that's sticking way out here is dangerous.
Yeah.
In a tight quarters. So it's great for tight quarters, it's great for vehicle crews, mobile infantry, that type of stuff. Now,
Who used this the most?
Austria.
Okay.
So
And like the entirety of the Austrian army, or was it like a
Yes.
special forces oriented?
no, it's their standard weapon.
Okay.
And it shows up elsewhere, but really that's it. Now, this was 1978.
Okay.
That this came out, and became very, very successful. Okay. Now, in the 80s, and especially mid and late 80s, but in the 80s, there were a lot of adapter kits to take an AK-47, a Mini 14, some other modular weapons, semi-modular weapons with a Mini 14, and put them into a Bullpup design. This we saw with the movie Starship Troopers. They took a Bullpup stock adapter and a AC-556, a full auto Mini 14, and made an alien killing weapon. Okay, it was a standard off-the-shelf adapter. They just made a couple of changes to the upper assembly,
Right.
so that it looked a little different. Same thing with Aliens, the second Alien movie. Those were Bullpup. Or actually, no, those were a different one. Never mind. Excuse me on that one. Same thing with a bunch of movies. They would use these things because they look different. They look sci-fi.
They look cool.
They look cool.
For sure.
Okay. So, big drawback. That long linkage for the trigger means that early Bullpups especially, but most Bullpups have hideous trigger pulls until now. So the first one with a giant improvement in the trigger pull is this guy. Now this is the Kel-Tec RFB. Now, I want to point out something. There is no ejection port near your face. This is a solid plate of steel here.
Yeah.
This is a 308.
Oh my.
High power rifle.
Yeah.
And one of the things we talked about that's a concern with bullpups is you're putting the action next to your face. So if there's a catastrophic failure, it's next to your face.
Yeah.
Or next to your arm.
Right.
Okay. This guy has a track, and when it extracts the shells, it runs them down the track and out here, and that is where the empty cases come out, and they kind of fall out at the end. It takes a little getting used to. It's just so weird when you're shooting this. That you know, you'll be shooting, and no brass is going anywhere, and then eventually they start falling out at the end. Okay, this is a problem, however, because if I take the magazine out, okay, and I want to look inside to see if I just loaded a round. Did I just load a round or not?
I don't
How
know.
do I know if I loaded a round? How do I know if there's a round in the chamber? Normally you would take the charging handle and look
How do
where?
you?
Well, you pull it back and you got to look down in there or stick your finger in
Okay.
by pulling out the magazine. Not real convenient,
No.
okay? Second thing about this is if you're prone shooting, so you're laying down, changing the magazine is an acrobatics exercise because you're rotating around so that you can get to it here. It's not real convenient to change the magazine when you're laying down.
Yeah.
But this is a 308 rifle.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now this one, the AUG has an adjustable gas system. It has 2 modes. This guy is finely adjustable, okay? I think it's like 80 positions.
Okay.
It's a crazy number. You basically unscrew this thing and it's got a detent. Now right now I've got it unscrewed almost all the way out because I've got it rigged for a suppressor. So you unscrew the gas adjustment all the way and then put it back on one click for this to operate with the suppressor, and it will cycle. Then for your ammo, you'll crank it down and have a number of clicks you'll pull out for a specific ammo to make it cycle reliably.
Okay.
So that affects recoil because you're adjusting the mechanism in the gas.
Okay. Basically, how much gas does it need to
Correct.
retain?
Now the second problem, which we'll see more on the next one, with a bullpup, is that you have a very short sight radius. So if you're using iron sights, your sight distance, which affects accuracy, is very short. So you notice on these, we've got a little 3-power scope on the AUG. You've got an EOTech here, okay? Because reflex sights or low power scopes really work well on a bullpup. Now the next one we're going to bring up is this guy, which is the Tabor. And I'll flip up the sights on this guy so you can see. This is your sight distance. It's not very much.
You don't have irons on that.
I don't have irons on that one. But if you compared it to what I could have, it's half the sight distance.
Maybe 2/3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ish.
Ish.
Of a standard rifle. Okay. So your
Hey,
sight
integrated
distance.
iron sights. Pretty sweet.
Integrated iron sights are really cool because if something goes wrong with that optic, you could rip it off or just ignore it. This is designed to have optics like those reflex sights that co-witness.
Okay.
So you flip up the sight and your red dot, if it's lit, is in the same spot that your iron sights look through. Which means if your iron sight fails, you still have sights, you're still sighted in, you just flip up the irons and you keep going. Now, IWI took everything that was done previously with bullpups and said, okay, how do we fix it?
Right.
And they did a great job. My magazine release is now up here as opposed to way back here where I got to figure out where it is. Built-in flip-up sights. On the 300 blackout version of this, it's actually an adjustable gas system built in for suppressor. You got a little thing you turn for suppressed and unsuppressed.
It's like a toggle, essentially.
It's with a tool.
Yeah,
It's a
okay.
toggle with a tool, which is great. But this is the one you were talking about on our other video.
Right.
I want to get a sight for this.
Yeah.
Okay. So hold that one, because I have another one right here. Now, we didn't talk about this sight then.
Yeah.
This is the Hollow Sun, which is another brand of reflex sight. What's neat about it is it has a little solar panel here. So it's got a little battery in here. It's a CR2150 or whatever, big watch battery. But it only runs the watch battery if there's not enough power from the solar panel.
Oh, nice.
And then I've got a 3X flip to side magnifier on it, and I have a suppressor adapter on it. Okay, so I can screw a suppressor on. Now, if we're going to flip both of these over, one of the things that's an issue with the Tavor and with some of the others is that here's the ambidextrous ejection port. Now on this one, it's just a little plate. In fact, I'm going to pick it up and show you what it is. It's this little piece of plastic and this little piece of metal. And that's all that's keeping the gases and the brass out of your face. And your comment on shooting this was you got hot gas in the face, especially once this heats up and the gas system gets going, gets some debris in it.
You fire rapidly, it builds up quick.
Well, when you're firing with a suppressor, it builds up with the first shot. Okay? So I replaced that with this, which is a 2-plate gasketed plate. This outer steel plate is like 6 millimeters thick. It's really thick. And then there's an inner steel plate in there, and then a thick rubber gasket in between.
Rubber gasket's kind of a big deal there.
And it clamps down with 2 Allen screws. And there, with a suppressor, there's no gas in your face, regardless of how fast you fire.
Nice.
Okay, huge benefit. If you get a Tavor, I highly recommend those gasketed covers.
Do you have a specific, I mean, you throwing out brand names or not?
It's MA, and I don't remember what it stands for,
Manticore,
but we sell it.
It's Manticore Arms.
It's Manticore Arms.
They
Thank
make
you.
they make a bunch of stuff for the table. It's the only reason.
Yeah. So Manticore Arms, we do sell it. It's on the website, and highly, highly recommend it. It's a great accessory. Now, the last one I want to bring out is a very, very interesting one, and I'll hand John one of the magazines. This is a Turkish 12-gauge shotgun. Uses 3-inch Magnum shells, adjustable cheek piece, flip-up sights, hand rest. It's very nice. Detachable magazine. Comes with a 5-round magazine, 10-round optional. Now, this is a full-length 12-gauge, 20-inch barrel.
Wow.
So again, we're in the bullpup configuration. It's right here. It is easy to maneuver. The other thing is, unlike other short barrel shotguns or the bird's head pistol grip shotguns that you see now, like the Mossberg Shockwave, this has a stock. It's got a lot of weight. This one is 8.5 pounds unloaded, 8.6. The rest of these, almost all of them until we get down to the Bushmaster, are exactly 8 pounds now.
Yeah.
All the modern ones are exactly 8 pounds, 8.1 plus or minus 1/10 of a pound. So the reason for that is it helps mechanism, but it helps absorb recoil. So this guy is semi-auto. Kel-Tec has a pump action bullpup shotgun too, I think. But this is semi-auto, Turkish made. What I like about this one, and this is the Panzer Arms version, it has a charging handle here, or it has an AR-15 style charging handle. Both of them work at the same time. This guy's ambidextrous. You take it apart, move it over here. It's really well thought out. There's a couple of companies that are making similar ones. There's like 15 designs that I could find.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
They're all over the place. But this one is as it shipped from the factory, plus a sling. So it comes with all of these neat accessories. It is fun to shoot. it is comfortable to shoot, and it is very, very accurate, which is important.
Yeah.
You know, you're talking about something that would be a great defensive weapon.
Great for skeet shooting too, I'm guessing.
No,
No?
because it's a cylinder bore, so you're going to be spread too much for skeet.
Okay.
So this is a defensive shotgun.
But for like moving,
Yeah,
it seems
but
like it'd be easy to track.
it
But if
does.
it's not the right barrel, then it's not gonna help.
It's not the right barrel. And the other problem is most of the skeet or sporting clays places will not let you use a tactical looking shotgun.
Oh my gosh.
It's against the rules because it's considered unsporting.
Because it looks cool.
But in recap, so lots of different bullpup weapons here. This is only a sampling of what it exists. There's a lot of other options. IWI Tavor has a 308 version. They have a Tavor 12 shotgun. Kel-Tec also has the RDB, which is a 5.56, and instead of ejecting forward, it ejects down. Just because we're going to do something different. And it looks like it walked right off of a sci-fi movie set. It's a cool looking weapon. But what's good about them is they're compact, they're
Good
easy
full
to
barrel
maneuver.
length, so they're still accurate.
Right.
But
But overall, they're a lot
the-
shorter
yeah.
without being a short barrel rifle or a short barrel shotgun. They work really, really good in close quarters, flat out. It's a full power rifle in a small space. Now the Bushmaster arm pistol, this one's worth more as a conversation piece than anything else. It's entertaining to shoot, it gets attention at the range, but it was a very niche item that didn't fill its niche to begin with. I love it. It's a great, fun toy, but it's not something you want to take out every day or really want to use inside the house for defense. The sights are rudimentary,
Yeah.
and I mean, yeah, this is how you adjust the sights, is you flip it over.
Super accurate.
Yeah, super accurate. So it's special. But these others are
Bless its heart.
Well, it was the right idea. It was an early implementation.
Yeah,
If it had been accepted, other generations would have come about it, and it would have gotten a lot better.
I mean, so back to the, like, it is not the traditional way guns are made. Is it harder to work on these?
No.
Clean them? Are they more or less the same reliable?
They are just as reliable as other modern weapons.
Okay.
The modern ones are all just as reliable as anything else. Easy to clean. Well, that's an it depends.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so the MSAR, because it's an encapsulated sleeve of a stock, it's interesting to take apart and put back together.
Okay.
It takes some getting used to. It's not as simple to take apart as an AR-15,
Right.
where you pop a pin, you pull the stuff out, you're field stripped.
Yeah.
The Tavor field strip's much easier than the AUG. The RFB is another one that's a lot entertaining to take apart because
The one where the ejection port is out the front?
ejection port's out the front. Because it's a little more challenging to take apart. I mean, the steps are not intuitive, is what it comes down to. So to take this guy apart, you're popping this pin out here, folding the handguard assembly down to get into pieces to be able to move stuff around. And again, it's solid steel all the way here, and it doesn't really pop apart back here the way you would expect. It totally takes apart differently. So generally they're
It
different.
depends, yeah.
It depends, but they're a little more complicated to take apart and clean. Not that much more complicated. The other issue is, again, from a safety standpoint, especially with the Kel-Tec RFB, it's hard to check the chamber to make sure it's unloaded. You have to take extra care to make sure you're working with an unloaded weapon before you start cleaning it.
That makes sense.
Some of the other things, I've got a suppressor adapter here on the AUG, which is specially made for the AUG. which is good, but if you look at the profile, it changes the profile. It's a little different. The standard barrel profile has a locking nut and then a nice, smooth, round, bird's head type flash suppressor. If you paid attention, I have suppressor adapters on many of these because you got all that noise coming back into your face. It is louder in experience to bring a full power round back that 10 inches.
Sure.
So I prefer shooting bullpups with a suppressor, just because it makes it more comfortable, assuming that you can deal with the gas in your face and the gasketed port cover. But that's our story about bullpups. They're a lot of fun.
They are fun.
They work well. They're reliable. Depending on the competition you're competing in, if it's an across the course competition where you're doing prone with reloads, not as much fun. If it's on across the course, you have slow fire where you're loading one round at a time. 1 minute per round is the pacing. Well, with the Kel-Tec RFB, you're taking out the magazine, getting out of position, putting a round in the magazine, putting it in, coming back in position. So it's not very effective, the RFB isn't, for that type of competition. Now for a rapid fire standing competition, clearing a room, type of 3-gun or assault rifle competitions, these are great. So
yeah, that makes sense.
All right. So again, if you like our videos, please hit that like button. Please don't forget to subscribe so you know when we get more videos coming out. We will be producing more. And I'd like to thank my brother John for joining us again today.
Happy to be here. And don't forget, if you have any questions, also ask them down in the comments below.
And we will respond to the comments. Thank you all very much, and thank you for your time.